Coffee on, chaos managed. Let's talk.
Today we are exploring C&P exams, and we're going to explain what they're about, what you need to know. So,
why it matters.
Well, that's just it. It's an important part of the process of filing for your disability claim.
It is. But before we dive into today's subject, we are going to give our little disclaimer because we are not medical doctors. We are not lawyers,
counselors, advisors.
We're just walking this path with you. And as we find the information out and what we needed to know, we're imparting this information and sharing with you because we're both wives of disabled veterans.
And we've played the game of find, dig, locate.
So we're just trying to take a little bit of that work out of it for you. And that's not saying don't find, dig,
right, do it on your own stuff, but
we're just kind of giving you direction.
Exactly, because some of the common things that everybody seems to come across when they're dealing with the disability claim process.
Yeah, and actually a lot of veterans, they kind of instantly get anxiety when they get something and they hear C&P exam.
Well, I think the whole process causes anxiety. I spoke with a veteran literally yesterday.
I can hear that.
You know, with what she deals with and just things that were already going on in her life, to get out onto that VA website and look at it, she's like, it's just so overwhelming. She literally said the anxiety it brings on.
Yes, it is. There is a lot out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
people want to think, oh, come on, it can't be that big of a deal. Oh, yeah, it is that big of a deal.
And I love when you get the little things for different websites. Can you please rate us? How easy was it to find what you were looking for? Is this a scale of 1 to 10?
Is there a negative available on this particular website?
So if you've ever had a claim, you've probably had one, or if you're filing, you likely will have a C&P exam.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things that's out there.
Yeah, and it's not some pop quiz. You're not filling out paperwork, but sometimes.
Could you imagine that pop quiz?
Sometimes it feels like it.
Yeah. So today we're actually just going to break down what a C&P exam actually is, what it isn't, and why it matters so much to your claim.
Right. All right. So what exactly is a C&P exam?
Well, it stands for compensation and pension.
Okay.
So, and it's an exam. It is a medical evaluation, and it is ordered by the VA.
Right.
It's checking boxes.
Well, yeah, it's going to be, looking based on what you put in for your claim. That's what the questions are going to be directed towards. So it's really just kind of wanting to assess your severity and the service connection of that claim condition.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we had talked before, that when you're putting your claim together, these are all the things that you need to express the severity, how it affects you in daily life, not just your symptoms.
Yeah.
It is conducted by a VA provider or one of their contract people.
Yes.
So there are contracted examiners. You might not be sent to the VA.
And that can be helpful for people that may not have a VA in their backyard.
Most definitely.
Because you don't want to have to hop in your car and go, chugging along 500 miles away just to go in for a C&P. That's a little much.
Well, exactly. So now that we know what it is it not?
Okay. Well, it's not a full treatment appointment.
No.
So, you're not going to go in there. They're not going to check you out from every little finite hair on your head to the soles of your feet.
They literally do have a clipboard. They have their set of questions and their little boxes that they need to check and fill in blanks.
Right.
Depending on what you got for.
Yeah, what you've put in for as a claim. Yeah. And the other thing, this is not an ongoing therapy.
Yeah.
So, some people think that, oh gosh, I'm going to be going back for 20 of these. No.
Yeah, no, one and done.
Pretty much.
And it's not a place to get any prescriptions or get prescriptions filled.
They're not going to give you any kind of directives or any of that stuff. And it's definitely not going to guarantee that you get approval.
Correct. What it is about, it's about evaluation. It's not treatment.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get into why a C&P exam matters so much.
Yeah, it's really such an important part of the whole claims process because it heavily influences whether your condition is going to be approved for a disability rating.
Yes, it does. And it also helps to determine the percentage of your rating.
Right. As we talked in a previous video, certain conditions can have multiple levels of rating because it depends on severity and functionality.
And you might be sent to a different C&P for each of those conditions.
True.
And what you want to do is you don't want to go in there and tell them, even if you're having the best day ever, when they're asking their questions and asking you to perform different things, you're not the hero.
No.
You need to express to them what your worst day looks like.
Yes, because this is literally a snapshot. Yeah. They're going to get to see you this one time. This is your one shot at advocating for yourself and letting them know, on my crappy day, this is the best I can do. This is where I'm at, so you don't walk in there saying, how are you today, Mr. So-and-so? Oh, hey, doc, I'm doing great today, because
it's great.
You got up and you made it to the office.
Yeah. They're looking for functional limitations. Yeah. And that's what they're documenting.
Right.
So you need to express your worst day.
So if your worst day means that, you barely can drag your butt out of bed, that's your worst day. That's what you tell them.
You just let them know that,
today.
I was fortunate enough to be able to drag myself here, because most days I can't.
Yeah, exactly. You're not trying to play it up in a way that you're not fibbing about it, but you're definitely wanting them to be 100% clear on when your days are bad.
Yeah.
They need to understand it, because, not only are they documenting your functional limitations on this, but it's also, it can provide or it can deny your nexus opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And we talked about the nexus opinion.
That's true.
Kind of skimmed over that.
Well, we kind of did, and maybe that's something that we can touch on.
Delve into a little bit further.
We can do a specific.
Yeah, so you can have an understanding what that is.
On that. But in many cases, the C&P exam, it is the primary medical evidence that's going to be used to decide the claim.
Right. Because this is, granted, you do have to accumulate all of your documentation from your physicians and such like that, and they can go read through it. Most of those sometimes come through as a summarized version.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Which, and if you're reading through it, trust me, this material is really dry. How quickly are they just scanning through and looking for specific terms relevant to what you're asking for? So this really is a chance for a face-to-face, one-on-one communication of where you're at.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the other reasons why it really is very important.
Yeah. And you might have years of records, but that one exam can carry an enormous amount of weight.
Exactly, which is why being prepared before you walk in the door for the C&P is so, so important.
Yeah, preparedness matters.
Definitely. Okay, so we're going to move into talking about what exactly happens when you're in there talking to the doctor.
What does that look like?
Yeah, what can you anticipate encountering? And this is going to depend on the claim itself.
Yeah, the claim kind of makes the exam, because each one is tailored to
that specific scenario. So, and this is why we mentioned the fact that you might have more than one C&P, because you may have multiple things that you're claiming that they're disassociated enough from each other that it requires different medical professionals to have a look at you.
Yeah. So one of the things that they're going to do is they're going to review your medical records.
And that's
look at history.
Exactly. Which, that's why you have to make sure that, you provide them with documentation from VA. Obviously, VA has access to their own records, but also any physicians you may have sought consultation from outside of the VA system.
Yeah.
The other thing that they will do is they're going to ask you about your symptoms. So, everything and anything that is a symptom you want to communicate. And then you also are going to be talking to them about the frequency that you're experiencing that and the severity level. So,
and this is where your honesty comes in. You've got to let them know, don't be that hero if you're having frequent migraines.
Right. And
it's so debilitating, you need to let them know.
Yeah. And that they may not always be debilitating, but my daughter suffers from migraines herself, and they go the gamut. I mean, sometimes it's not horrible. Other times she can't even move. That it gets so bad. So you want to give them the fact that when I have, the example migraine, and I get a migraine, at least once a month, it's a debilitating headache. But I just, no light, no sound,
or whatever
no
fits into
whatever is your scenario. This is an
we're
example.
Just saying,
example.
One of the other things they might do, and this is mainly for joints and whatever, they might ask you to perform what they call a range of motion test. And from what I have gathered from various different things on that, again, don't be the hero.
Right.
Because if you go in there and you tell them that you've got knee issues and you're able to bend your knee to the 90 degrees that they're trying to measure, it might be killing you to do it, but you're being the hero saying, look, I can do this. No. You need to stop when you're hitting your pain.
Exactly.
Because that is what they need to see.
Exactly. That husband dealing with the knees right now.
That's true. Yeah,
it's one of those things that you can take it and you can force it, but it sure isn't comfortable.
Well, and it's not necessarily, even though you're forcing it, that's not indicative of what your range of motion really is, and that is what they're testing for.
Yeah, because on the day-to-day, you're not going to force that with every step you take.
And you shouldn't be forcing it.
No, because you can sometimes do more damage.
Well, exactly. You got to let things heal and whatever.
Exactly. And, with all of these different things that you can be experiencing, another thing that they're going to have a discussion with you about is how this is impacting your work situation for those of you that are still working a job. How is that affecting your everyday work? Are you missing work because of it? Are you leaving early? How often does that happen? Do you find that during the day, you've got to take frequent breaks that may not necessarily be cohesive with your job structure? Do you have, if you're dealing with emotional, mental kind of things, does it affect how you're able to interact with the other people that you work with?
Well, yeah, and that's actually, they might ask about social as well, as far as, and that is especially for mental health issues.
Right.
That is a big thing. How are you going out socially and getting along, like you said, with your workmates?
Well, work situation, but just
how are you?
Family members.
Going out to dinner.
What about if you've got to go to the grocery store and you have to interact with the person behind the register, for instance, or you need to ask a question at the customer service desk? How is your situation affecting your ability to do that? Because sometimes that can be intimidating if you have some sort of emotional, mental stressors that you're dealing with. So
I agree.
You have to be able to communicate that information. There are a gamut of situations that come into play when you're talking social aspect.
Well, yeah, because there's, like you said, going out, just doing typical daily chores.
Right.
But then there's also going out to dinner with family. Do you do that often, or is there something that holds you back from going?
Right.
Because of whatever it is.
Because that has an impact on your health.
But it's not only impacting you, it's impacting your family.
Right.
And that is something else that gets expressed and taken into consideration.
Definitely.
So answer honestly and don't minimize.
No, don't minimize trying to make it seem like you're not that bad off. No, you're there for a reason.
Exactly. It's not a time to be tough. It's a time to be accurate.
Right. So remember, they're evaluating your condition on your worst functional day, not your best.
Okay, on to common mistakes that veterans make.
All right. I think the top one on my list, it goes back to the whole thing, minimizing your symptoms.
Yeah.
Minimizing what's going on, not expressing how very drastic your pain is or how debilitating your emotional situation is.
It's the military culture, though, that I think promotes that.
I think you're right, because at least back in the day when ours were serving, it was all about the
tough it up, Nancy. Soldier.
Exactly. We don't have time for this. Suck it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
You didn't go and complain. You didn't go running down to whatever the medical facility was referred to.
Yeah.
You didn't do that.
No, it just wasn't a thing.
It was on so many fronts because of how you were being trained. But you also had the people that were in your group, troop, platoon, whatever they were, your barracks.
Yeah.
That if you're the weak link in the whole group, guess who's getting the sock of rocks in the middle of the night? I mean, that might sound crazy and drastic, but who knows? I've never served. Sorry, I don't know. Medically wasn't capable.
I didn't really ask about situations.
No,
like that.
Sometimes and you're better off not knowing. But
and then one of the other things that ends up being problematic is saying I'm fine, and that's actually a habit response. How are you doing today? I'm fine. How are you?
But we all say that.
Yes, we do. It's a habit response.
You walk into the office. Oh, good morning, Miss So-and-so. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm fine, thanks. How are you? It's the same thing.
It's like a pleasantry.
It is.
So don't do that. Don't be pleasant.
The other part about I think it is too is the fact that none of us want to think that we're not fine. So when you are actually being honest and stating how you truly are, I think sometimes people, they're hesitant to do that because they want to be fine. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Okay. But you don't want to do that here.
No, you don't want to do that here.
So the other thing I think happens that you forget to explain and describe how your situation is impacting you on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of what we touched on in our last segment topic.
Yeah.
We need to make sure
you're telling them how it affects you daily, because it can be a roller coaster. Some days are great, some days not so much. But think about it. What about in the situation? Are you able to stand more than 10 minutes at a time? Can you do that? Are you missing work because of migraines?
Yeah, due to migraines again.
Or the knee pain or hip pain or whatever it is that makes it very difficult for you to function. Or do you avoid being out amongst other people or crowds and things that you would normally have enjoyed because your anxiety keeps you from being in those situations?
So when you're preparing for one of these exams, I guess these are all things that need to be thought about.
Yeah. You really do have to put effort into thinking about how your day-to-day life is and what things are impacting it. Those are things you're going to want to have to communicate too.
Which leads to the next mistake, not reviewing your own claim beforehand and knowing what you filed before you walk into that exam.
And that might sound a little ridiculous because, I know what I'm claiming for. I got this. But you know what?
It's a little bit deeper than that.
It can be a lot deeper than that. But the other part of the thing is the fact that, think about it. If you filed an intent to file for a disability claim 12 months ago, okay, you told them I'm going to do this. In the interim, what all did you go through? What all did you find? What did you put on that piece of paper? And guess what? That piece of paper goes in, and they don't call you 2 days later. It's not. No. You'll be lucky to hear from them in 3 months.
It goes through a process.
And in that point in time, are you going to really remember everything you put on that piece of paper? Most people can't remember what they had for breakfast. Okay, that might be a stretch, but you know what I'm saying.
Unless you're regimented that all you're having is eggs and bacon.
Well, that's true. And if you're military, sometimes that's exactly what happens. Same, every single day.
Well, my husband's been out for how many years now? And
they really got him trained well, didn't they?
They do.
Mine didn't do that.
Oh, mine hits the clock for meals. No,
mine doesn't. Thank God.
But there you go. Those are the most common mistakes that you need to think about.
All right. So you've gone through You've met with the doctors and professionals at your C&P. Yes, you have successfully exited the building.
Now what?
Exactly.
Now what?
Now what do you do? What's going on now? Okay, well, you're going to wait.
Because that examiner is going to submit their report.
Exactly. And you know what? It's not like they got done checking boxes and shoop into the outbox. No. It's going to go through a thing, and then they're going to have to put it to somebody that's going to actually enter the information into the computer system before it actually gets
Shoved
faxed,
off
emailed, to the next person.
Yep. And then that person has a job.
Well, exactly. They're all tied up, and it's a long process time-wise. But once it finally gets submitted, it's going to go to the VA reviews findings group of people.
Yep. So the VA will review it. They'll figure out what direction they want to go in.
Yeah.
And then a decision is actually made.
Right.
One way or the other.
Yeah. And then once that decision is made, you're going to receive paperwork, and it's going to, either give you a ratings decision letter, or it could be a declination.
Yeah. And it's important to note that you don't usually receive your results at your appointment.
Oh, good Lord, no. That's not going to happen, because that person's not going to take on that level of responsibility, because it's not their job.
Yeah, right. The examiner doesn't tell you what your rating is right there on the spot. That's, like you said,
not their job. All right, so what if the exam just doesn't feel like it was accurate?
Well, you can always submit additional evidence.
Okay, and we'll have to probably go into a discussion on how you go about doing that after the fact. I guess the other thing you could also do too is you could request a higher level review.
Yep, because that's always a possibility.
Yeah. And it's your right to do these things.
It most definitely is.
Again, back to that self-advocation.
You can file what they call a supplemental claim with new evidence.
Mm-hmm. And there's also the appeals process that is available to you.
Yeah, appeals are possible.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so why understanding a C&P exam matters?
Right. Well, I think what we've discussed kind of goes into showing you it's important, because this is your personal story, and this is what you need to let them know all about, so that you do get approved for your claim.
Yeah.
You're not trying to prove that you're a broken person, because we're not saying you're broken.
No, you're not broken. You just have these issues that are connected to your service.
Right. And that's just what this is about. It's just the, accurately documenting that you've got service-connected disability conditions and things in your life that you deserve to be recompensed for.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. So if you haven't done so already, we're going to encourage you to go back and watch this entire series.
Sure.
And you can see how all the dots are connected.
Right,
so
right.
It feels like more of a whole thought process.
Right. So I'm going to ask you to drop us a comment. Did you, or do you now feel prepared for your C&P exam? Let us know. Hello.
Yeah, we'd like to know.
And then
while you're at it, like, subscribe, share the information.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's just how more people get to see it.
Well, they get to see it, and it helps other people that are in your like kind situation.
Correct.
So, and just remember, preparation for this, it's not going to guarantee that you're going to get the outcome that you're hoping for.
No, it doesn't.
There are no guarantees.
But it does ensure that your voice it's heard.
Yeah, that you have that opportunity to put it out there.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
There you go. Coffee's on.
Chaos managed.
That's Couch Talk.